Hey, hey, my creative friends. I'm Shannon from Shannon Studio, and we are here to talk creativity. And today, just before we start our tip today, it was our first snow, and it was beautiful. I think it was about probably 4 or 5 inches. And it just lit up everywhere. There's not a lot of strong light at this time of year. Even when it gets to be noon, the sun's not straight up, or like goes arcs kind of low. It's kind of really weird, but it just lit everything up and just beautiful. But I am still concerned because I still see, hey Trisha, I still see those marker things that go up, and you know, they're pretty high. So I'm wondering how it's going to be with the snow as we get further in the season. And then Joseph was so excited this morning when he heard it snowed. He looked out the window and was upstairs, and I was upstairs too. He goes running down the stairs screaming, and I'm not sure, you know, it's like a wild scream. I'm not sure if he's hurt or what. Just so thoroughly out of his mind, excited to see the snow. And then when he got home today, he went out and played in it, but then he collected snow and we made snow cones, and he is just beside himself thrilled. We took juice concentrate. They sell concentrate here, and in little package, like the little box drinks that you get that have the straw on the side. Well, I thought I was getting boxed drinks, so I got a bunch of these, but it was concentrate. It's the same size, but it's concentrate. So I've had these for several months now, and I haven't known what to do besides make juice, which we don't really, drink juice a lot like that. But they were perfect for this. So yeah, we made our homemade snow cones. So that's a fun thing from today, and our little creative thing we did today. But this a couple things that I've listened to, because I listen to podcasts since I have to walk to school, back from school, to school, back from school. So I do a lot of podcast listening when I'm walking. And so there were a couple things that I listened to this week. One of the things really bothered me, and the other one I thought was just genius. So the thing that bothered me was I was listening to this one podcast about stress, I think it was, and this woman she was a professional, and she had written a book. I can't even remember, but it came to a point where she was constantly blaming everybody else outside of herself. Trisha says, way to enjoy the snow. Keep it up. Yep, we will. So she was blaming everybody else, her parents, society, the patriarchy. I mean, she had a whole list of things she was blaming. And she never once took any responsibility for those thoughts, for her viewpoint, for her mindset. She did not take any responsibility. In fact, she went so far as to create this other person inside of her, and she called it a mad woman, and she blamed everything on the mad woman. The mad woman makes you do this. The mad woman, and I was like, who created the mad woman? Who bought into it? Yes, all these other things can influence us, but who buys into it? Who has to ultimately say, this is my mindset? And my mindset determines my attitude, my interpretation. Things. It depends. That's what, I mean, those things. But I have to sign off on it. I have to be the ultimate one that says yes or no. So for instance, one little story I thought about was that when I was younger, I remember one of my sisters, everybody would tell her how beautiful she was. And I remember my family saying, she's so photogenic and everything else. And so, something was said about my smile, and it was kind of off, or, different things. So I got in my head that she's the pretty one and I'm not as pretty. I mean, I didn't think I was ugly, but I was like, I'm not as pretty. I'm not the photogenic one. So fast forward until I got married. Hi, Erica. Happy Thanksgiving pictures I saw of you and the boys. Looked so fun. So fast forward after, you know, and all this time I'm thinking she's the photogenic one. And I didn't really have a problem with that per se. I mean, I just, you know, that was just the way it was. She was the photogenic one. But then got married and went to go have family pictures with my husband's family. So my husband's mom, my mother-in-law, is looking through all the photographs after we got them back, all the photographs, and looking through them and, you know, saying, you know, who looks good in this one? Who looks good in that one? Oh, somebody's doing this in this picture. Somebody's doing that. And then she said, oh, Shannon is so photogenic. She looks good in every single one. And I'm like, my mind just kind of like, I started to laugh in my head like I'm the photogenic one. And it was a real wake-up call to me that, and it shifted my mind. And it was that, you know, there's all kinds of factors that go into it. And in their mind, in their experiences, I was photogenic. And not that, I don't think my family ever said I wasn't photogenic, but that's what I took on. And so I just thought, how interesting. My mind shifted in that instance because I realized its context. I realized a lot of things. And so I think that's one of the things that we're doing here is taking your mindset and shifting it. So, you know, you'd really say a mindset shift, but that's kind of a mouthful. So it's just a mind shift. We're looking at a mind shift with all these creativity things. Even when we're talking about things that aren't creative, so to speak, I'm trying to help you make a mind shift to be able to change your perception, change your how you think what creativity is, what your focus is, you know, to change that. I'm trying to help you to change those kinds of things. And in doing so, I'm actually helping me change and be a little bit more thoughtful about my things. Tricia says, I agree that you are photogenic. You know what is funny? That my sister, this particular sister, and I look so similar. Everybody thought growing up and everything else. I mean, I can see the subtle differences, but most people, you know. But it's just funny to me because I didn't see, it's just a perception I never had. And it wasn't until I was outside of my family and had some different experiences and had some different perspectives that I just laughed. So here's the other thing that I came across this week that I love this analogy. And it's from Swamiji. And he says, the mind is like a river flowing, water flowing. The intellect is like the banks. If the banks are strong, it navigates. It navigates. Turns right, the water turns right. Turns left, and you can fertilize the fields around. Okay, so that's the beginning part of it. So I loved that visual. I mean, we've all, most likely all of us, been around a river. We've seen it flow. You can see when the banks are low or they're starting to break away, or, you know, you can actually break some away and direct the flow. That's what they've done in irrigation. I mean, it's just a great comparison. And then he says, but if the banks are weak, it'll inundate the fields and devastate the fields. And I thought that is such a great way to look at our minds. And if our banks are not particularly strong, we just go in whatever way the water wants to take us. And what we want to do in any aspect of our life is to make strong banks that we decide where the water's going to flow, where we may get all these things everywhere else, but we determine how that water is going to flow. We can't blame people forever. We can't say, oh, they did it, especially the older we get. I mean, I can see when you're young and you're very limited in your experiences. But the older you get, it's like, you know what? I build my own banks for my river to flow. So there's 3 things that we want to build banks for in our creative thinking. One is plasticity, and that is to explore and engage in novel activities, in novel things, in novel events, just the newness of things. So it doesn't have to be new, like something nobody else has done. It has to be new to you. You, just like that experience getting outside and having somebody else look at the pictures and look at me and go, oh, Shannon's always photogenic. And I'm like, wow, that, you know, but, and then like me moving to Sweden or going to Amman, Jordan, and just these things start to, like, I'm not sure of the term, but they make your brain plastic. I mean, it moves. I don't know, but that's the word, plasticity. So then the other one is divergence, where you're independent thinking, you're impulsive, you have a lower agreeableness in you, and then convergent thinking, where you conform, where you are agreeable, where you have precision and you have a sensitivity. So, and I don't know that divergent and convergent are really opposites as much as at odds, because I don't think that they're exactly opposites, though there are some opposites in them, but I think they're kind of just at odds, and that's that duality that plays against each other, that forces you to go back and forth and to really use that mind. And I think that kind of agitation really push us to creative thinking. So the whole point of these videos, the whole point is that we can have more creative thinking, to have a mind shift, to take our mindsets and move that little bit, bank up that riverbed, the riverbanks, and just really make us stronger thinkers. And so that's the tip tonight. Help prepare, tell yourself, accept a mind shift, accept shifting your mindset, accept that that's where you want to build up those banks and make them strong so that you run in a current of creativity. And that is a great place to be in all aspects of your life. If you're a mom with kids, it helps you navigate motherhood. Parenthood is one of the hardest things, and having a creative mind to do that, yeah, that's what you want. So that's the tip for tonight. Hi, Rose. And if you have any more ideas about having a mind shift or a mind shift that you've had, share it. Tell me what you think about that analogy. I thought it was great. You maybe can add to it. And we will talk tomorrow more about creativity. But in the meantime, oh yeah, I hope you haven't had a Thanksgiving hangover. But in the meantime, you have a creative heartbeat, so listen for it. And I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.